Well, Scott has every right to write whatever he feels is in his heart and is accurate. My quarrel here is it accurate? Because Scott never gave anybody any inclinations that this is what he thought. And for him now to say it was propaganda in 2002 when he never said that privately, never passed any doubts on to me in private or in public, never gave any intimations to the press corps when he was the press secretary that maybe he was saying something that was wrong. For him to have this new sudden revelation, that's what troubles me the most. Well, the timing, actually I think this timing was delayed. I think this book was supposed to come out earlier this spring and into the winter. I know that he had events in New York City particularly that he canceled. And it looks to me as if the book got extended, and then Scott told me that his editor had been working with him, and the editor tweaked, to Scott's word, a lot of the language as it got to the very end here. There's a lot of this book that doesn't sound like Scott, that's a lot more truculent and virulent than the Scott McClellan I know. You have to keep in mind how close Scott and I certainly always were, and since I've moved to New York we don't see each other near as often, but I've always considered Scott to be a very reliable, solid deputy of mine, and he had a very hard time and a hard job at the White House. So we've talked frequently since I left office, and since he left office we've spoken periodically. And the conversation actually took place before the political story hit. So I hadn't had the advantage of knowing everything. Scott told me, and I think he was a little bit sheepish about it, that the book is probably going to be perceived as pretty tough on the White House, that reporters were going to seize on the negative passages of the book, is what he told me. And his attitude was, let the chips fall where they may, that this is what he views as his obligation to history looking back, and that's how he wrote it. And I told Scott that I was kind of stumped and didn't quite make sense to me, but I hadn't seen a lot of the worst passages at that time, so I really couldn't ask Scott, why did you do that, why did you do this?